the next question is, a classical link and a quantum link are required for a quantum secure communication. What are the quantum and classical links doing?
Maybe I can start with what the quantum links do. So across various steps in BBM92, quantum and classical link work hand in hand. I'll try to explain some of the rules before, during, and after key generation that would happen in a quantum link. So before key generation, the main step is calibration. So we need to set up the polarization basis selection correctly. We have to correct for the polarization transformation that the photons, which are traversing from the source to the end nodes, they will go through this polarization transformation as they traverse through these links, which need correction. And we have to do additional gathering of information, like what is the link delays between the source to the end nodes, and what is the difference in these delays, so that we can be measuring coincidences at the right time bin. So in all of these calibration methods, we'll essentially be sending entangled photons from the source to the end nodes, and by using the aid of classical channel, we can communicate what is the measurement outcomes and correlate them and see how we can adjust any of the imperfections in the measurement modules, etc. So this comes under calibration. And while we are performing key generation, or actually going through the BBM92 protocol, we continue sending entangled photons to the end nodes. And now the detections are directly utilized by the classical linklater to correctly get the coincidences from the time bin, share the time tags, and also other key sifting material. So on that end, I would like to pass it on to Matt to describe more about what happens on the classical link and also post-processing steps.
Yeah, so Suparna covered some of the stuff that the classical link is involved with here, especially when we're using the quantum link for some of these operations before or after key generation. But from a purely classical perspective, there's some things the classical link is also doing. So I mentioned timing and synchronization before, as something that is maybe used in a real implementation of this. So we might be exchanging some data there to align the clocks, understand where we are, so that later on we can actually correlate these measurements when we're actually doing the key generation protocol. But in addition to this, I also touched on authentication, right? So maybe before we even start doing the key generation protocol, Alice and Bob will use the classical link to agree on what kind of key material they're going to use for that authentication for the messages that they will exchange as part of the protocol. Now, after the protocol, there's also some stuff that we might be doing on this classical link. So after BBM92, now Alice and Bob have these secret keys in hand. But now there's a lot of management that maybe needs to be done around that. So we just have a stream of these secret keys. Maybe we need to deliver fixed size keys up to some router, for example, like we saw in that little demo video. So we might be doing some key carving here. So now we've got this string of key bits, and we want to segment it into, for example, 256-bit keys that can be delivered. So we might do some coordination between Alice and Bob. How are we actually segmenting those keys? But furthermore, for the authentication, we might be using some of that freshly generated key material back into the BBM92 protocols for future authentication, since we need to use some key material for the previous round, right? So there might be some coordination going on between Alice and Bob. Hey, from that stream of secret key bits, what are we going to use for further authentication? What can we allocate to users? And furthermore, if I'm allocating it for authentication, how am I going to organize this for storage and then later retrieval, so that I know what keys we're using at any point in time during the protocol? So this is kind of the kind of things you might imagine going on with classical link before and after key generation.